Jamal Murray is playing just as bad as well, I think, as anyone could have ever hoped. But just how high is he going to reach on some of the awards this award season? I have a theory, and we're going to have a conversation about Jamal Murray and his numbers. Also, we might have gotten an update about Jonas Valanciunas and Cam Johnson. Ryan Blackburn was at practice. We're going to talk about that. The Nuggets also, the very famous 40-20 pace. Funny enough, they're still on track to maybe get there. Also, I want to ask Ryan, what is your confidence level in the Denver Nuggets right now and any other practice notes that he has today? But y'all know what time it is. This is Swipe Him. That's Ryan. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. I'm your host, Swiper, with one of his friends, one of the co-hosts for Locked On Nuggets. This is the Ryan Blackburn, the man with the plan, the man with the chart, the man with the numbers, the man with the stats, the man that was at practice. Got a lot of great things to get into today, y'all. This is going to be a phenomenal episode, y'all. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make sure y'all tap in. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA happy hour. So today, every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, check in with FanDuel, y'all. So, Ryan, you think
the locker room calls me the man with the chart? You think that's my nickname in the Nuggets locker room at this point? I wouldn't be surprised if they've got some other nicknames for me, but gotta love it.
Always the pessimist. I'm sure when they talk about you in the locker room, you're definitely the stats guy. I think you ask good questions in the presser too, so I wouldn't be surprised if you had a good reputation among the players. You've been there forever as well.
It's my 7th year covering the team. It's not like I haven't put in the work, but been a little bit before everything gets crazy. So,
what was your first year covering Denver?
It was the COVID season. It was 2019-20. That was the year that I took over Denver Stiffs for Adamaris, and it was quite the weird year because we were covering the season and then we were not covering the season for a while. So quite a jump.
Yeah. Wonder what Adam Martis is doing now. Definitely is falling off from this point. But shout out to Adam, shout out to DNVR, shout out to the great stuff that they're doing over there. Y'all, so we're going to talk about Jamal Murray, and I got to tell you, man, I feel like people are coming around finally on Jamal, and as in people, I mean the public. I think the public has always been, Jamal's a good player. He's not one of the better guards in the league. Trust me, I've had multiple conversations about Jamal. And I think the public has talked about him and said, like, hey, great in the playoffs. Obviously 2023 had the 32-5-5 series versus the Lakers on 50-40-90. Had the 21-10 series versus the Miami Heat. He's one of 4 players ever to average 20 and 10 the NBA Finals. He had 4 straight 10 assist games, I believe, or 4. He had 4 straight to start the series. He obviously has had some really great moments, but I think the thing is, Ryan, Jamal Murray has transferred himself from being, hey, this really high-level player where I've gotten in debates like on platforms about Jamal. And, I'll have a conversation with somebody like, who is it, Jamal or is it Ron Harper? That is like the best ever we've seen not make an all-star game. And CJ McCollum was obviously somewhere on the fringes of that conversation as well. But at this point, with where we are, Ryan, it does feel like Jamal has reached a place where he is doing things that are nearly unprecedented. I don't think people quite realize that the scoring, the playmaking, the passing, and the efficiency for Jamal, he's having like a one-of-one type of season, especially for a guard.
Yeah, I'm going to do some research while we're on the side here, and just I want to see what kind of his per 100 numbers are looking like, because it feels like his actual production that he's been putting together every single night has been so impressive. And that's the thing that I think gets lost on a lot of people. And then there's one of the things that was holding Jamal back clearly from reaching his full potential. We saw the flashes, we saw the peaks, we saw the highlights. I was there was I in the building? I can't remember if I was in the building for the Boston game that he had 48, and then Kyrie Irving punted his basketball into the stands.
I remember that.
I was there, or certainly watching along when he crossed up Steven Adams and like sent him to the ground, and then just goes, "Whoa, look at me! Like I'm so cool." And then the Nuggets won on that Gary Harris buzzer beater back in 2017-18 for the bubble. Like obviously that was the pinnacle for what a lot of people have seen his skills get to. And then the championship was the reestablishment of that pinnacle after suffering a torn ACL. After that, it was like he looked physically and mentally exhausted for much of the next 2 seasons. He certainly doing his best and being extremely competitive and like not trying to get away from it too much, but like he did get away from some of it too much. And I think needed to have an off season this year where he reestablished who he was as a player and work that he needed to put in and the mentality that he needed to bring from day one, because it's a different mentality. And he'll say that's not true. I disagree. Like I think he's brought a different mentality and a leadership and just sort of a grown-up mentality to what the Nuggets have provided. And it's one of the reasons why the Nuggets have been able to sustain during this stretch. They haven't felt overwhelmed without Jokic during this stretch. It's because Murray has been such a leader and uplifting everybody else around him. It's a very Jokic-like quality. So I think that from an anecdotal standpoint, that's where I would focus rather than from the numbers. But the numbers are unbelievable as well.
When you think about Jamal this year, what is the thing that you're most impressed about? Is it the leadership? Because Matt talked about that a lot as well. Like that is something that he has made the most note of, is how he is, how he's working with the young players and what he's doing to continue to support them and uplift them, obviously, as they're like trying out, new roles and expanding their opportunities. And especially, with Peyton Watson and the levels that he's jumped to this year. What are you most impressed about this year?
I think, and so the funny thing is he wasn't not a leader before. He was a leader. He was a leader for the team, but it was more of a lead by example. It was a look at how good I am. I am extremely talented. I'm extremely capable. And I mean, he obviously was and obviously is, but being able to back it up, not just on the court, but off the court in terms of what he's been able to do has been really, really impressive. And just his willingness to take the shots that are given to him and make the passes that are given to him rather than forcing the issue too much on what is not there, I think is a really impressive feature. Just did the search right now. There are only 6 seasons in NBA history where a player has averaged at least 35 points per 100, 10 assists per 100, and shot above 40% from 3. Jamal's, of course, at 44. It's Jamal. It's 2 Nikola Jokic seasons. It's LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Damian Lillard at his peak.
Wow.
Like, that's it. That's all it is. It's just some of the very best players in NBA history and Denver's starting point guard. And like him being able to reach that level on a consistent basis, because again, it's night in, night out. He's brought that mentality every single time during this season. And so that to me is the most impressive. He's been healthy, knock on wood, and he has brought the consistency that I think a lot of people were wanting from him on a consistent basis. Like they knew that he could do it, but it was about putting it together night in, night out.
Matt, I talked to Matt about like a lot of the stuff for him, like getting his 2 feet in the paint, like the playmaking, the passing, the aggression, the thing that I think SGA has really done well that Kobe used to do really well. You get below the nail in the mid-range shot and you basically flatten the court out. That way you almost have an ISO possession versus whoever it is. And, SJ's so good because he can get to a spot, shoulder bump, or just use link shoot over the top. Murray's not as long, but Murray is strong. And so Murray's able to bump and then do that little turnaround. He did that multiple times to end that Mavericks game. I'm just kind of like, man, like he's just gotten to a place here where his skills and his intelligence are like at their peak. So like it's all working really well together. By the way, I got one more for you, Ryan. So I filtered out. So this is in the tracking era, which is from 1967, 68 to now.
Okay.
How many players have had seasons where they've scored more than 25 points a game, had 7 assists per game or more, 4 rebounds a game or more, and shot 40% from 3? I just kind of went a little basic with it.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic is on the list twice, last year and this year. Obviously, greatest, offensive player ever. LeBron James is on the list twice. And this is LeBron James in Miami at 28 years old. And then this is LeBron James in LA. I think this was last year is where he did this. You have Damian Lillard in 2019, 2020. And then you got Larry Bird in 1986, 87. And then there's Jamal Murray. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, he's always had some game in him, like just the aggressive score thing. But he's truly reached a special level this year. And I have some more stuff I want to talk about on the other side with him, man. But I do think he's making a push for, legitimately, putting himself in, hey, you're a top 10 player in the NBA this season.
It's wild to think about, and I agree. And the way that the Western Conference is just so concentrated at the top, sometimes it's difficult for people to fully internalize that. But how many players in the Eastern Conference would you realistically take over what Jamal Murray is doing right now?
Yeah.
It is not a lot of guys, which is where you're coming from, I think.
Yeah. I'm actually really curious to get into that. We got more coming up for you here at Locked On Nuggets with Swiper and Ryan. We'll be right back. Segment 2. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snack stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. Now, there are nights when your team stresses you out. The DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need a dessert right now. In the group chat, says pull up. DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared, snacks, cups, and even a phone charger for the friend who's always at 2%. So from tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. We'll be back for segment 2 here at Locked On Nuggets. Ryan, flip the switch. We're back here at Locked On Nuggets. So good to see you all back here for
slander. Good Lord. Good Lord.
I hope that you're having a great day, a great Friday, enjoying the 2 days off from grueling NBA Nuggets basketball that we have right now, y'all. But make sure, if you want to keep tapping into the great work that's happening here at Locked On Nuggets, make sure you continue to tap into us with the Everydayer Club. And by the way, thank you so much for making Locked On Nuggets your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. And Brian, you've been doing Discord. Matt's been adding things in there. There is a lot that is happening with us in the Everydayer Club. So if you want more Nuggets content, tap into lockedonnuggets.supercast.com and get your Denver Nuggets content you're looking for. So let's get to it, y'all. By the way, I just want people to know, just spread more Jamal Murray propaganda, which obviously I don't think at this point we can do enough of. And I think it just needs to continue to be appreciated that he is having a career season, that he's having one of the best guard seasons, not just for himself, but I do think there need to be a little bit of discussions. He's having one of the best guard seasons from a shooting and scoring and passing standpoint now of the 2020s. And I think that's more than fair to say at this juncture, because if you put all the efficiency together, the numbers, it matters. Jamal Murray this year, he's shooting 65% at the rim. He's shooting 44% in the non-restricted area, mid-range area of the floor. He's shooting 46% from mid-range this season on 145 attempts. That's really good. He's also shooting 44.5% on above the break threes this year. And Ryan, that's also including the fact that on volume, he has been basically the best pull-up shooter in the NBA this season. And that is such a crazy thing to think about with all of the great pull-up shooters that we have in the sport right now. And I just think, man, like he's shooting 5 pull-up threes a game, Ryan, but he's shooting 45% on pull-up threes this season.
That's 45%. A ridiculous number. Like it's the most difficult shot from an efficiency standpoint in the entire NBA, because what you're asking for is as far out as these guys are is to pull up off of the dribble, whether you're creating from isolation, whether you're creating from pick and roll or from DHO or whatever it ends up being. Like, it is the toughest shot. Now, some guys don't necessarily feel that way. It's also a good enough value shot from an effective field goal percentage standpoint that like the good shooters should be taking those if they have the opportunity to do so. And like the fact that Jamal's shooting that well from three, I am so happy to be vindicated about that, because
this is a long-standing war.
I have been on this for basically his entire career, that he was very much prioritizing the mid-range, the floater zone, and some of these other shots. He wanted to be methodical. He wanted to be like to navigate. He wasn't going to settle, and like that's the mentality of a dummy, of a loser. You don't want to settle for a three if you could get something better. But like, from a value standpoint, it actually is good for him to settle for a three every now and then, because it pulls the defense so much further out. And the Nuggets as a whole have been shooting the ball so well. Jamal's been leading that charge, him and Tim Hardaway Jr. basically. And those guys have been spacing out the floor so that when the Nuggets are attacking in the paint and in the mid-range, there's more lanes. There's more opportunities for those guys. So like him shooting well from three and shooting a lot from three is extremely valuable, not just for his points, which unsurprisingly have gone up because he has taken more pull-up threes and more outside shots. It has been everybody else that has benefited from it as well.
So let me read you a really fun thing. This is another Ryan Blackburn stat. Ryan is Matt calls him and Ryan the nerds of Locked On. I'm just kind of like, why am I left out of that? I love reading it.
I mean, you're more of a nerd than I am at this point. I'm like, he shoots cool.
So when I filtered out from pull-up shooting 9 or more field goal attempts as a pull-up shooter in the NBA, okay? 9 or more attempts.
High volume.
So these are the leaders in efficiency on those shots. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is at 56.1% effective field goal percentage as a pull-up shooter this year, which is
combines pull-up twos, pull-up threes. That's really good.
It's phenomenal. Like, it's insane that he's having that great of a season. That's literally one of the greatest guard scoring seasons we've seen.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray this year is at 56.0 effective field goal percentage as a pull-up shooter this year. He's right on his tail. And then with the gap dropping 3%, Kawhi Leonard is third, Kevin Durant is fourth, Donovan Mitchell is fifth, James Harden is sixth, Luka Doncic is seventh, Tyrese Maxey is eighth, and then Jalen Brunson at 9, and Jaylen Brown is at 10 with 50.4. Jamal Murray is closer to SGA as a pull-up shooter this year than anybody else in the league, and he basically shooting at the same efficiency with more threes taken. Right.
This is the funny thing, and like it's a great stat. It's a fantastic stat because it takes into account all the guys that have to take hard shots. It's not like Jamal's taking easy pull-up threes or easy pull-up mid-range jumpers. He's falling away. He's like going to the fadeaway. He's doing like turnarounds. He's everything that you possibly can ask for from him from a shot diet perspective. He's taking as many tough shots as any of these guys. So the fact that he's hitting at that level, it's clearly not just about Jokic and the gravity that he provides, although he certainly provides a fair amount when he's out there.
Yeah.
Like, it has been Murray doing just about everything and understanding and trusting the work and putting himself and the Nuggets into a really good position because he's willing to take that on. So it's funny. A lot of the names that you listed, the Donovan Mitchells of the world, the Jaylen Browns of the world, I'm sure Tyrese Maxey is like, he's lower volume for sure, but he's probably on that list. Or not like lower efficiency is what I mean, but certainly on that list. Like, I think I'd rather have Jamal over the vast majority of those guys still, with the kind of game that he's been putting together, in part because like he's not just scoring at a high volume level, he's playmaking at a high volume level and a higher level than any of those guys.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I think what needed to happen for Jamal Murray's rep, unfortunately, Ryan, is every time I would talk to people about Jamal Murray, they're like, well, he has Jokic. Anybody can do this with Jokic. Anyone could play this well with Jokic. Anyone could put up these numbers. But, hey, y'all, since January 1st, like just only 5 games, but Jamal's averaging 30 points a game with 11 assists and 5 rebounds on 49% from the field, 41% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line, Ryan.
Jesus. I mean, think about the tough lineups that the Nuggets have had to put out there and how much attention has been paid to him during that stretch. I mean, I remember the Toronto game, he had to deal with so much pressure because those guys were hounding him as much as they possibly could. Boston did a lot of the same things where they're just sending not hard doubles, but soft doubles a lot of the time where they were just trying to make it more difficult and complicated for him to read. And
somebody asked a good question, by the way, Ron. I want to have this conversation with you on the other side because I actually think there's something very interesting I saw earlier from my boys in Nerd Session. I was kind of like, that's interesting. We'll talk about it on the other side, Ryan, because that's going to be a little bit longer conversation here at Locked On Nuggets. Ryan, press the button. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. Always bring something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping. NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We'll be back for more Jamal Murray propaganda on the other side. We're back for segment 3 here at Locked On Nuggets. Make sure, y'all, if you're watching, it's 102 people watching live. More will be watching after. I need y'all to take a breath, release, and press the subscribe button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Stop what you're doing. Subscribe. I'm telling you right now, I'm holding Ryan hostage. Right now. Subscribe. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We're not moving forward unless you press the subscribe button. Half of y'all watching this ain't subscribed to the channel. Subscribe right now and like the video. And make sure you give us a 5-star review while we at it. I want a 5-star review. 5.
Turn on notifications for when Matt and I go live at 1 o'clock in the morning at times, or when Swiper randomly goes live at like 11. It's great.
Anyway, y'all. Love y'all, my people. So I noticed this, brother, and it was so interesting to me. I was just like, wow, that's mighty interesting. So, you know, when you do some of the wowie lineup stuff, right, and, you know, like who's been better with who on floor, did you know the Denver Nuggets are a plus 10.4 with Jamal Murray on the floor this year, 127.6 offensive rating, a 117.2 defensive rating, all that jazz, blah, blah, blah. Now, they're a plus 3.1 in 447 minutes without Jokic on the floor this year. They got a 119.5 offensive rating, which if you understand who he's been playing with, that's actually really good.
Pretty solid. Like, I mean, the Nuggets fans have been spoiled by what the offensive rating is usually like when they are the historically greatest offense of all time. 119 is still pretty solid.
And just for context, Jalen Brunson this year is only a plus 4.3, a 125.4 offensive rating, but they are a 121 defensive rating. They're actually better with Brunson off the floor because the defense is 11 points better when he leaves the floor this year.
It's been problematic.
If I do this with Jalen Brunson without Karl-Anthony Towns, he's a plus 2.1. So the Nuggets are better with Jamal on the floor than the Knicks are with Jalen Brunson without Cat. And I'm just kind of looking at this like, if you look at their seasons and you kind of just look at how each player is performing and their overall numbers and all that, I do think it's interesting that I think Jamal has put himself in a different conversation this year where I actually think he's re-challenging perhaps Jalen Brunson and some other players in the league for like, I'm actually, you know, I'm in conversation for like, I've been a better point guard than you this year. I've been a better scorer than you all have been this year. Like, for instance, Jalen Brunson has 15.7 creation true shot attempts per 100 possession, which is ISOs, pick and roll ball handler, and post up. He's only shooting 0.3 relative efficiency better than league average. Jamal Murray is shooting 3.1% better than league average on 14 creation attempts per 100 possessions.
Is Brunson just a high volume merchant right now?
He has been a high volume free throw player this year. 100%. Now it doesn't make him a worse player. He's obviously still really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. And like he's playoff tested. He's somebody who rises to the occasion, but he also has those 7 of 24 games every now and then. So like, yeah, I mean, I think I see where you're coming from. And it is funny that like Brunson's one of those guys when I'm talking with Matt and when I was being very defensive for Jamal Murray, that like if I were to bring up Jamal Murray versus Jalen Brunson, he'd laugh at me. He'd laugh like, okay, there's no way that Jamal's better than Brunson or somebody of that nature. But like right now we're having to reopen a lot of these conversations because of the great work that Jamal has done. And because like sometimes it's really hard for those other guys to maintain high efficiency levels over prolonged periods of time because teams start to figure some stuff out or some of the moves that they were making, they put it on film for a couple of years and defenses get a little bit better. So it is very interesting. And I do think that Jamal's kind of showing that like when he was being ranked in the teens or in the low 20s in terms of like player rankings back after the championship season, it was perfectly valid. And it's actually kind of a low point for where he would be right now.
Yeah, let's talk about practice, Ryan, because you obviously were there today. You talked to David Adam and you talked to a few people. Can you give us some insight of what it looked like from Jonas Valanciunas and Cam Johnson today?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we did not see Nikola Jokic. We did not see Nikola Jokic there. It doesn't mean that he wasn't there. Like I think the Quesarito video made its rounds around social media. So I think he was in the building at some place, whether that was filmed yesterday or this morning. I have no idea. It was probably filmed yesterday because I cannot imagine having a quesarito at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatnot. However, like clearly Jokic has been around. We didn't actually, I'm actually pretty proud of the media for having some restraint, not asking about Jokic the first opportunity that we get at practice, because there's going to be plenty of times he wasn't out there. But Jonas Valanciunas was out there. He was getting some post work in one-on-one versus Deron Holmes and some of the other player development guys. And Deron Holmes came over and interviewed us, and he's like, yeah, or we interviewed him, and he was like, yeah, guarding JV is really tough. He's just really big and really skilled. He's really big. So Deron's a testament to that, I think. JV was moving okay. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was moving at like 100% speed or anything like that. Cam Johnson was doing dribble work. He was doing non-contact work. He was not doing anything in contact practice, nor was Christian Brown, which I thought was interesting. They apparently are going to be very patient with regard to Christian and his situation coming back from the ankle. And clearly, I think we can sit here and say that he came back too soon. There's no other argument for it, given that he was doing non-contact practice today after missing this last back-to-back and then missing the game before that too. So like, it's going to be interesting to see where this kind of goes from here, but it's clear that he is not all the way or anywhere close to really being full strength at this point, which that is a concerning thing, given that he came back and then just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I'm really just, hoping Christian sits, and even if it needs to be like 3 more weeks, I don't really care. I want him to be confident in his body and to come back ready to go and ready to be himself, because he's a terrific player. The Nuggets need him. And I think, again, a lot of the ire about Christian has been he didn't start the year off well, but then he hurt his ankle, 3-4 weeks into the season, if that, like, you know what I mean? Like 4 or 5 weeks into the season. So I just think he needs to take care of his body, let the ankle get fully healthy, come back whenever he needs to, and then we can move from there. And because I think the Nuggets, they've shown this year we can withstand you being down for a little bit longer.
Yeah, like they've got the reinforcements. Clearly, Tim Hardaway Jr. having a borderline 6th man of the year campaign kind of season has really stepped in and made some important steps for Denver from both an offensive and defensive perspective, because they've been able to really trust Tim offensively and then have a lot of defensive guys step up around him. Peyton's growth obviously has been well documented on this show and everywhere else.
Brother, just to remind you, by the way, because if you don't remember, the Nuggets have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players shooting above 40% from 3, and Spencer Jones is at 39% from 3. They're
by far the best 3-point percentage team in the NBA.
Wow.
They don't take as many as some of the best teams, but it's because they're not reliant on it. They create really good shots all over the floor, and they've been taking what teams have been giving them. And when Jokic is out there, it's obvious, like, hey, you're going to get a lot of open threes. But it's been really interesting to see that when Jamal Murray and Peyton Watson are out there and driving into the paint and getting into the teeth of the defense, they've been creating threes in a different way. It's actually kind of fascinating.
So the Nuggets are taking 40%. Well, looks like 40% of their shot profile is from three this year, and as opposed to last year, that number was at 35.6%, and that feels that way. It feels like they're being intentional about getting up more three-pointers.
You just can't be last. You can't be at the mercy of opposing teams when they pack the paint that you are forced to take threes. Exactly. When they pack the paint, it should be an opportunity to get threes. It should be an opportunity for you to, like, hey, you say thank you to the opposing defense that they're giving you so many open shots. So that's how I feel about it. I think that Denver's done a great job. They added more shooting. They did a lot of good things from a front office perspective there.
By the way, if you follow the divine rule of effective field goal percentage for team, because I think it's since 2000, the teams that have won the title, like almost all of them have been top three in effective field goal percentage. And Ryan, just to give you some insight, the top three teams in effective field goal percentage this year are Denver, Milwaukee, and the Lakers. And then you have Minnesota and you have OKC. But OKC's at 56.2. Denver.
So last year, OKC, I think, finished fourth or fifth as well. I think that they've proven that because of how their effective defense they can be at getting to the free throw line, and Shea can be at getting to the free throw line, that it's more true shooting percentage for them as opposed to EFG. But they do such a good job of limiting the opposing team from an EFG perspective that they make up the margins there. So I would open it up to top five. And OKC.
Well, I think OKC that's a very specific sample size because they had one of the 2 or 3 best defenses maybe ever. Yeah. So obviously helped them a lot. But Denver this year, they're almost 2% higher than second place in terms of their 2-point and 3-point efficiency this year. Again, Cam Johnson in and out, Christian Brown in and out, Aaron Gordon in and out, Jokic in and out, Murray out because of the flu or whatever else it might be. I just think, man, and the thing is, Ryan, the thing that I think Nuggets fans should be really excited about for the second half of the season, they haven't been healthy since they were 12-3. They were 12-3 with all those losses being, you shouldn't have lost those game losses. I think that if they get healthy for the last third of the year, let's hopefully whatever. And by the way, the 40-20 rule, we didn't talk about that. So they're currently 28-13. They have 2 home games versus Washington and Charlotte that are winnable games. Charlotte going to be tougher than Washington. But if they're 30-13 or they're 29-14, they need to be 10-7, or they need to basically that's still all within reason, to be able to expect them or ask them to do that, or they got to be 11-6, obviously.
Now, Charlotte just waxed the Lakers they're last
good.
night, and so these aren't gimme games. Washington,
OKC too.
Knows, it's not a gimme game for Denver to be able to just win a Washington Charlotte back-to-back. They should, but it's not a gimme. So we'll see what happens. But if they do get to that point, then you're right. 10 wins before 7 losses. Right now they have to get 12 wins before 7 losses. Are they capable of doing it? Absolutely. Is it going to matter when Jokic returns and how the team responds to that and what they're going to look like and style of play? Can they play elite defense still with Jokic in the lineup? I'm curious. By the
way, they're not playing elite defense. They're they have a 116.6 defensive rating since Jokic went out.
So I find that you kind of divide it between when they have a matchup that is completely overwhelming, they're going to look pretty bad, especially from a size perspective in the middle of the floor as a center. When they don't have that, they're actually a pretty good defense. They match up pretty well with a lot of these teams. And so we'll see whether that continues, but they've discovered a lot of these things. They're playing really great basketball. They've surprised a lot of people, including myself. I think that they have done tremendous work and deserve a lot of credit. And so can they get to 40 before 20? Absolutely.
I'd be curious to see the lineups I want to continue to see more of as they face versus these bigger teams, Washington and Charlotte per se, Diabate obviously, and then Kalkbrenner. I do want to see Zeke Naji, Deron Holmes, That was a very fun stretch of basketball for me personally, because they were so long and so athletic that they put so many different options on the table defensively because of their length. I do want to see if they can continue to go to those lineups a little bit, or at least Zeke Naji next to AG, because I would suspect over the last couple of games they've been good to better defensively, and I think especially when AG doesn't have to worry about playing like a lot of center, and Zeke can kind of take some of that physicality that works really well for AG. But I'm just having fun. I think Nuggets fans, man, they should just be having fun with like every player stepping on the floor does something different, and you get to really experiment every new lineup that they're putting out.
To hell with all the narrative talk. I don't care about it. Nuggets fans, just have fun with this. Enjoy a great season overall. And you know that reinforcements are coming along the way. And I can't wait to see what the second half brings.
Yeah, man. Let's see what you can do, Jamal. I'm rooting for you, man. I would love to see you get second team All NBA this year. And he's currently on NBA.com, top 10 MVP, and on the MVP tracker. Let me check. I think he is 6 on the MVP tracker. Let me check. So 2025-26 MVP tracker. Jokic is number 1 with an 84% probability. And Jamal Murray is number 6. That's the highest he has ever been by far on the MVP tracker.
I mean, he's been dominant and stepping up without the best player in the world. Absolutely a credit to him.
Incredible, man. All right, that's going to do it here for Locked On Nuggets. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Give it a 5-star review on Apple iTunes and Spotify. Do it, or else you're going to find out. Make sure y'all tap in with us on the Everydayer Club. Y'all know what time that this is. Swiper. That's Ryan. See you on the other side.
User.